Hello Moto GP fans. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. Jorge Martin left Buriram encouraged rather than satisfied. After a disrupted preseason and limited testing following surgery, the Aprilia rider rated his Thai GP as a 9 out of 10, saying he's close to full fitness and only a few setup refinements away from joining teammate Marco Bezzecchi in the fight for wins. Martin framed the weekend as progress, steady, measurable and confidence building. Aprilia's intriguing front-wing vents, dubbed the F Duct by paddock observers, have drawn attention after Marco Bezzecchi's dominant performance in Thailand. Aprilia Racing CEO Massimo Rivola insists the concept is within the rules and says he wouldn't be surprised if rivals adopt similar solutions, while confirming the device played a role in the RSGP's strong aero package at Buriram. Jack Miller described a brutal closing stint in Buriram as extreme rear tire wear robbed him of drive, forcing him to run with no more than about a quarter throttle on the straights. The Australian framed the result as part of a difficult first full race with Yamaha's new V4, but stressed the value of the data gathered and the work ahead as the team heads to Brazil. Marquez distilled what separates quick riders from title contenders during an Estrella Galicia 0-0 event, telling young riders that speed alone isn't enough. The 8-time world champion emphasized pressure management, tire care and patience across a long season, offering practical advice to rookies and a reminder of the mental demands that define championship success. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Martin described the race as a major confidence boost, highlighting the physical and mental strides he's made since last year's injuries. Despite limited preseason laps, he battled with top names, including Marquez and Pedro Acosta, and finished a strong fourth, 3 seconds off the podium. "I felt again, I'm the same as I used to be." For Martin, the result was proof that rehabilitation and careful preparation are paying off. Finishing both races and qualifying well underlined a return to form rather than a one-off performance. Martin stressed the incremental nature of his comeback. Where 2 months earlier he struggled to complete short runs, at Buriram he managed a full race distance while still feeling the effects. He framed endurance as improving lap by lap rather than an overnight fix. At the test, just making 12 laps was too much. Today, 26 was tricky, but not more than usual. The message is pragmatic, fitness is returning, but Martin expects peaks and troughs across the season as he rebuilds race stamina and consistency. Martin emphasized that the remaining gap to the front is largely about finding a consistent base setup for the RSGP. He believes small, targeted improvements will unlock his ability to attack more freely and close in on Bezzecchi and other leaders. "I need to keep improving my setup to catch Marco and the rest. This small step will bring me to the fight for victory." The tone is technical and optimistic. The bike is broadly working for him, and focused setup work should translate into more frequent podium chances. Martin's fourth places and improved qualifying have put him fourth in the early standings, with Bezzecchi already showing race-winning pace. Martin acknowledged he still trails his teammate but sees the gap as bridgeable through continued adaptation and fitness gains. Aprilia's strong showing in Thailand gives Martin a platform. His progress suggests the team can field multiple genuine contenders if he continues to close the small margins. Jorge Martin's Buriram weekend reads as cautious optimism, a near-complete physical recovery, encouraging race pace and a clear plan to refine setup. Rather than grand declarations, Martin offered steady realism, incremental improvements that, he believes, will soon put him in the fight for victories. For now, the narrative is progress, patience, and the quiet work of turning small steps into big results. Small inlet vents sit above the front wing and feed exit ports under the rider's elbows when tucked. A rubber surround at the exits appears designed to help the rider seal the openings on the straights, potentially diverting airflow for an aerodynamic benefit. Rivola stopped short of a full technical reveal but acknowledged aero was a key factor in Aprilia's near-perfect Sunday. "I saw many media, and in particular many photographers, quite happy to watch our bike very closely. The arrangement suggests a passive airflow trick rather than an active moving device, a distinction that matters under Moto GP's ban on moving aero parts. Moto GP forbids moving aerodynamic devices defined by active adjustability or deflection under load." Rivola was unequivocal on the point. Aprilia's solution is perfectly legal, and no protests followed Bezzecchi's win. That legal clarity reduces immediate controversy while inviting technical curiosity from rivals. "No, it's perfectly legal, so I'm super relaxed." By staying inside the letter of the regulations, Aprilia has opened a window for competitors to study and possibly emulate the concept without breaching the rules. Rivola credited incremental aero development, an improved CFD and wind tunnel correlation for the RSGP's step forward. He highlighted that small details across the bike's shape have added up, and that new aero elements have translated reliably to rider feel, a rare and valuable outcome. "We push quite hard on the aero side. Every time we introduce something on that side, it works." The combination of validated simulation tools and effective on-track implementation explains why Aprilia could introduce novel features without destabilizing rider confidence. Rivola expects imitation is possible. It's not going to be the first time, but rivals face practical and regulatory limits. MotoGP allows only a single aero update per season for most manufacturers, constraining how quickly others can adopt similar hardware. Yamaha's concession status gives it 2 updates, a narrow advantage for teams chasing Aprilia's step. Copying the concept is feasible in principle, but calendar timing, homologation windows, and the single update rule will shape who can realistically follow and when. Aprilia's F Duct has become the weekend's talking point because it combines clever packaging with clear on-track benefit. Rivola's calm stance and the absence of protests leave the device standing as a legal innovation, one that rivals will study closely. Whether it sparks a wider aero trend will depend on technical feasibility, the timing of aero updates, and each factory's ability to translate concept into consistent rider performance. For now, Aprilia enjoys the advantage of a validated aero step and the spotlight that comes with it. Miller said severe wheel spin and center wear on the rear tire left him unable to exploit the engine in the final laps, with lap times collapsing as grip evaporated. He reported managing the situation through short shifting and smooth inputs, but ultimately the bike became unrideable on the straights. "In the end, the tire was completely worn in the center, and on the straights I couldn't use more than about a quarter throttle." The image is stark. A rider forced to nurse a machine home rather than race, highlighting how tire life can determine outcomes even when early pace looks promising. Miller acknowledged this was Yamaha's first full race with the V4 package and that, while the weekend didn't meet expectations, finishing with all 4 bikes provided a useful baseline. He framed the outing as a starting point from which engineers can extract lessons on rear grip and thermal degradation. "Still, it was our first full race with the V4, we gathered a lot of information. It's a base to build from." The tone is pragmatic. Early teething problems are expected with a major engine architecture change, and the priority is turning race data into tangible improvements. Pramac team director Gino Borsert pointed to the extreme temperatures as a key factor that amplified tire issues for several teams, Yamaha among them. He urged acceptance of the current baseline while expressing confidence in progress as the season moves on. "The main issue was the high temperature, which affected everyone, but it seemed to impact us a little more. Environmental stressors like heat can expose weaknesses in tire management and chassis balance. Acknowledging them helps focus development on the right areas." Miller's late collapse dropped him well down the order, finishing 48 seconds behind winner Marco Bezzecchi, and only ahead of Ducati's stand-in Michel Pirro. Rookie teammate Toprak Razgatlioglu also passed Miller late on, underlining how widespread the rear grip problem was across the field. The result is a reminder that single race pace is only part of the equation. tire conservation and consistent late race performance are equally decisive in championship terms. Jack Miller's Buriram race was a clear example of how tire life can override raw speed. While the V4 debut didn't deliver the desired result, the weekend supplied crucial data on rear tire behavior under extreme heat. Yamaha and its satellite teams now face the task of converting that information into setup and strategy changes before Goiânia, with the aim of turning a difficult starting point into steady progress. Marquez opened with a light touch. All the riders on the grid are fast, before laying out the deeper skills that elevate a contender. He said champions excel at handling pressure, navigating uncertainty and managing tires across race weekends and a 22-round calendar. It's not just about being fast, it's about handling the different situations that come your way during a 22-race season. The message reframes performance as situational mastery. Raw pace matters, but consistency under stress and strategic racecraft separate those who win titles from those who merely set quick laps. Marquez stressed that modern Moto GP amplifies pressure with sprint races and packed calendars, making mental resilience essential. He advised younger riders to learn how to cope with intense weekends and the emotional swings that follow strong and poor results. In testing, everyone is fast. Then, on a race weekend, it's a bit more difficult. The takeaway is practical. Training must include psychological preparation as much as physical conditioning and bike setup work. Tire care featured prominently in Marquez's explanation. He singled out tire management as a decisive skill, knowing when to push, when to conserve, and how to read evolving grip levels across a race. These micro-decisions, he argued, compound over a season. For Marquez, championship thinking means balancing outright speed with long-race strategy. Mastering that balance turns fast laps into consistent points hauls. When asked about coping with setbacks, Marquez urged patience. He told Moto2 rookie Jose Antonio Rueda and others to avoid seeing every poor weekend as catastrophic, and to focus on steady improvement. He acknowledged the sting of bad results but framed them as part of development. Don't see everything as black, don't get frustrated, patience, hard work, and continuing to improve. The counsel is both motivational and tactical. Resilience and incremental progress are the building blocks of a long career. Marquez's advice came after a testing weekend that saw him lose a sprint victory to a penalty, and then retire from the Grand Prix with rear-wheel damage. Those recent highs and lows gave weight to his points about pressure, uncertainty, and the need to manage unpredictable race events. His experience underlines the credibility of the message. A champion's mindset is forged in the same crucible of setbacks and triumphs he describes. Marc Marquez offered a concise primer on championship thinking. Speed is necessary but insufficient. Managing pressure, reading tire life, and sustaining patience across a grueling season are what turn fast riders into title contenders. For young racers, his advice is a roadmap. Work on the mental and strategic side as diligently as on outright pace, and the results will follow. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your Moto GP news update. And see you next time!